beach theory. This is episode.
How many times are you guys gonna make me burp in order to get this started?
We just like to make you burp a lot more than you should be.
Good.
Today's episode 23, I think.
And guess what?
I
had the baby. Oh my goodness.
Anybody that follows our other channels knew this a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
wow.
on the podcast, this is our first time recording.
I am a different person.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I don't like being pregnant at the end of pregnancy or the beginning. Only like 1 month in the middle am I okay with it.
And then like the day of, it's nice to have the baby and be done with
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
it felt like the last 2 months drug on and on and on.
That's just typical pregnancy though. That's like every time you're pregnant.
Okay, well give me pregnancy brain so I can forget the pain of it so that I can have another baby one day maybe.
That will just happen automatically. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
But definitely happy to have little boy Max here.
Yeah.
He, if you're just listening, we're recording video for our YouTube channel, and he's just out of the frame, eating
food. So if you hear munching sounds like
or slurping or burping,
chomp chomp, ouch. Just kidding.
Do you know what we're talking about today, Rebecca?
Well, of course, we're talking about... Should we tell them about the birth?
That'll be another episode. But we could record that today, later.
I win.
So in the last episode, we talked about how we were hiring people. We hired Ryan to do more treasure hunts for us. We hired your parents to help us with treasure hunts. And we just barely touched on that we helped your parents move into a rental house.
Yeah.
Close by. Because they were trying to get out of the town that they were living in before in Mount Pleasant.
Look. Just kidding.
Are you able to even pay attention?
Hold on. I'm getting modest. Don't look. Hopefully nothing has to be edited out. Okay. I was just nursing the baby. Okay.
So we helped your parents move into a rental.
Yes.
And Shinoe was going to the high school close by.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long were they in that rental for? Was it only like 6 months?
It was just a year. It was 1 year.
A full like Christmas. That's right.
Yeah.
No,
I'm pretty sure
they
it
were
was
there
1
for
year.
a whole year. Because
sure
they moved there in the summertime.
Was it month-to-month contract maybe?
I think it was month to month. I think they were only there for like 6 months. They moved there in the summer, and then we had the Christmas treasure hunt like at the end of November, and then soon after that is when we bought the house in Spanish Fork.
Timeline-wise, I feel like everything is just messed up in my brain because it's been a whirlwind.
Because so much has happened in such a short period of time.
It really has, especially because like my parents, in my mind, they stayed in that house. They were in that house for like 17 years or something.
Down in Mount Pleasant?
Yeah, that's a long, long time to be in one place, And so in my mind, it's like they were there for forever. And then all of a sudden they're just in new places all the time. And it's like chaotic and crazy. Even if it wasn't, it just feels like it was.
Mm-hmm. Is it mealtime on the other side now?
He might have a burp.
Oh, little Max.
This is our life now.
Literally juggling babies and filming
has been so crazy.
Between meal, like he slept for like 4 hours literally this morning.
Yeah, that's when we should have filmed
been
this.
filming
then. This is our life. Notice how we both sighed at the same time.
Yeah. But he's a month old right now. He's getting pretty fat too.
Yeah, because he's eating like all the time.
It's okay, little Maxie boy.
I'm just gonna nurse him on the other side.
We're just trying to film a video. So we moved your parents into this really nice, huge rental house.
I mean, it wasn't that nice, but it was huge. And it had
like
everything they
massive.
needed. It was like 3,000 something, over 3,000 square feet just for my mom and my dad and Jared and Shinoe, my siblings.
So Ryan and Jessica were still living with us in Springville.
Yep.
And I don't remember what happened a lot that fall. I think we had CVX Live. Was that summer or that fall?
Yeah.
And
actually, that was the time up in Salt Lake. That was the CVX up in Salt Lake, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because I had made like the platform 9 3/4 door that was magic that magneted back together.
Yeah. We had a big booth that year.
Yeah, the biggest so far.
But not a lot happened that whole fall. I feel like it wasn't until Christmas that we did a big Christmas treasure hunt.
Yeah.
And that went really, really well on our channel.
It did. That was a really good one. That one was the magic of Christmas. It had the magic in it.
Where we had Santa give us some clues and we got Santa's Christmas bag up on the roof.
That was such a good one.
That was a really fun one. Especially the voice of Santa. And
actual Santa.
Like actual Santa, yeah. Well, the voice of the elf. Wait,
right.
There's no pretenses here. Everything is...
we're like, are we talking in adult
Everything's
language?
raw on this.
Okay, if you're a child, don't listen to this part because you're going to be disappointed.
Hey, if you're listening to Beach Theory, you're going to get spoilers.
That's true. For everything.
For everything. This channel should be the life spoilers.
Oh, no.
Maxie, can we give him to someone else to burp and hold and
Probably.
pamper?
But he's so cute.
Not when he's crying.
All the viewers want to hear his little voice. Well, I'm just patting his back now. So what do you want to do?
So with that Christmas, while we were doing the Christmas treasure hunt, we did that early December. I remember because we wanted to get in on it early before like the rush of wintertime
Which
views.
was a very good idea.
But very soon after that, we moved into a house with your parents. We bought a house.
Before Christmas even. It was
Christmas.
1 week before Christmas because
Yeah.
I was like, I wish we were here the whole holiday season. That's what I remember thinking.
Yeah. So basically we took your parents and Jessica and Ryan and Jared and Shinaway and all of us and we
combined two households.
We combined both households into one, and we bought a big house that was like what 5,000 or 6,000?
5,500 square feet.
5,500 square feet.
Yeah.
Multi-level home. So your parents lived in the basement. We were
with
living
a
in the top.
kitchen, 2 bedrooms. We had a kitchen up, and then in the 2 above was us and our living space, and it was a kitchen and how many bedrooms? We had an office and
we had like
1,
5
2,
bedrooms
3,
in our living
4.
space. Ryan and Jared
something
were in
like
one
that.
bedroom, and Jessica and Shinaway shared a basement bedroom with your parents' living
Yeah.
space. But we
It was
canceled
good space.
the rental that your parents were in.
Yep.
And then we turned our house in Springville into a rental.
For the first time. That was the first time we've ever done that.
I've always wanted to own a rental property.
This is, okay, rewind a million years ago when we were getting engaged, 10 years ago. He expressed to me while we were engaged, he said, listen, this is what my dad does. He buys rentals and he puts them up for rent, and he has a lot of like money in those rentals, and they're all being paid for by other people, and that's exactly what I want to do. I don't want to have to he's like, I want passive income so that I can do whatever I want with my life. And I'm like, good luck. Like, that's all. And he's like, and I also want to be a beekeeper. Those were his 2 like goals in life. And third, he wanted to be able to homeschool the kids. So it was homeschooling, beekeeping, and
real estate
investing. And he wanted to just get to a point where it was like, he doesn't have to work or do anything else or worry about anyone else, but just teach the kids, and that's it. And I said, good luck, because I don't want to do homeschool. I want to do public school. So he's been doing the homeschooling.
That's right. Over all the years, I was doing all the homeschooling. And then here we are, finally owning our first rental property.
Yeah.
So we bought our second house. That was the house we bought.
And at the time, we were like, this might be too big to ever put up for rent.
Oh, yeah.
So big, but we'll just get it anyway, because it's the only house that will fit everyone in it.
It was the perfect size for us at the time. We needed that.
Yes.
Bigger space for us.
A good, huge step up.
Huge step up. And it was really interesting moving in and living with your parents, because a lot of people think, oh, you're living with the in-laws. How is that?
It's like always with this like, oh, I
that
feel
must
so
be-
sorry for
That
you.
must be really
Tone of voice.
hard, right? And actually, your parents are really awesome.
They are.
They're easy to live with.
Yeah.
And if we're ever having a problem with something, like if somebody's doing something that we don't like, or if we're doing something that they don't like, we just kind of get together and have a little family meeting, and we talk about it, and we work through it.
Well, that was one of the
and
very
it's
first
fine.
things that we decided. I was like, okay, Mom and Dad, I really want to do this. I think it will benefit everyone. Everybody was on the same page, and I said, the only way we can do this is if everybody wants to do it.
Right.
If my mom was like the only one that didn't want to do it, or my dad or me,
Right.
then we wouldn't have done it.
We all had to be.
We all had to
on
be
the same page.
100% on the exact same page to be like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's dive in.
Right.
And that was one of the precursors was, if anyone is unhappy, we have to talk about it, because I do not want this to ruin anyone's relationship with anyone. We just have to communicate. That's the biggest thing. As long as we can communicate, this will work. If we can't communicate, somebody's going to get unhappy and we'll be miserable.
I think that's, so many people think living with in-laws must be the most miserable thing, but I think that's because they don't have a good communication relationship with their in-laws. Yep. And there's definitely things that I don't feel comfortable, Rebecca, approaching your parents about.
But then you talk to me, and
so
then
I talk to you,
them.
and I say, hey, Becca, this thing's bothering me. Let's go talk to your parents. And then you and I get on the same page.
Yep.
And then you bring it to your parents, and then we all kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
And
it's, has there ever been a time that you can think of that it was like, no, we can't talk to them about that?
No, we talked about everything.
Yeah.
If it's bothering us.
Okay, the only thing
right?
is when I was pregnant, just barely. Because emotionally, I couldn't handle any confrontation at the end. It was just, just the littlest bit of confrontation or anything negative put me over the edge. And I just felt like I was going to explode, emotionally. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Well, after moving in with them in the same house for the next 6 months, I felt like it was really, really good. But it makes it better when you're not pregnant.
Oh, it's so much better when I'm not pregnant.
But there were challenges too, because I remember when we were living all under the same roof, we have ways that we parent our kids.
Yes.
So there are certain boundaries that we set for our kids. Okay, kids, you're not allowed to do this thing. Or this is too far. This is acceptable. Well, those same boundaries might not be the same in the eyes of your parents.
They have never been.
Or anyone else in your family.
Yeah.
And so
basically, my family parents differently than we do.
Right.
Together.
And so that was one of the times where, we'd had to have a talk where we're like, okay, we're okay if the kids are doing this thing. You might not like that.
They can play in the front yard. The front yard has the only space to play. They have to play somewhere outside. And they're like, but it's so close to the road. And it's like, well, they have to learn.
They have
not to go in the road.
Right.
And my parents or family is more like, well, just jump in and make sure they don't touch it. Don't do it. Don't get too close.
So many times we'd be like, it's okay if you guys do this, kids. And the kids would be doing it. And then your parents or Jessica or Ryan or some Shinaway would come in and get after the kids.
Yeah.
And the kids are now in trouble. And we're like, no, we said it was okay.
And this is all just
establish these boundaries.
These are small things, right? They're not huge. It's not like, oh, great, I can't live here. I cannot handle this,
Right.
It's like, okay, this is where, we're the parents. Make sure to give us, let us be the parents,
Right.
And that's been a conversation. That's probably the most consistent conversation we've had to have.
Let us be the parents.
Let us be the parents.
That is
just
definitely.
Let us be the parents. It's okay. It's okay.
I'd say probably 7 or 8 out of 10 conversations are about how we parent.
Us be the parents. Well, because all of the confrontation is like, look at what the children have done. They came in our house in the morning when everyone was asleep and ate all the candy in every single pantry.
That's true.
That's happened. They've done that multiple times.
Well, because our house is kid-proof. We have the candy in a specific place. We know the kids can't get to it. The kids know the boundaries.
Yeah.
But the kids learned, hey, if I sneak downstairs before mom and dad get up and I schmooze grandma and grandpa, they might let me have their candy.
Yeah. Or our kids will be like, okay, go get some cereal and milk. And they're like, I don't want cereal and milk. So they go down to grandma and grandpa's house where they're making bacon and eggs and pancakes.
Right.
And they're like, can I have some food? I'm starving to death. My parents don't feed me.
My parents don't give us anything. We're so hungry.
There's cereal and milk. Go eat it. And they give puppy dog eyes to everybody. And then we hear from everyone else, did you know your kids gave me puppy dog eyes and made me feel guilty for eating my own food? That's one of the biggest conversations.
So we had to basically make the downstairs basement where your parents were living was totally off limits. Can't go down there.
Yeah, unless you ask our permission or theirs.
Right.
You can't just run down there when you want to run away from your chores or run away from our life here. That's so miserable, apparently. Because we make you do stuff that grandparents don't.
Eat your vegetables. You know, in a way, it's kind of like your parents don't get to be grandparents.
I know. That is one thing. It's funny because I think my other siblings are wishing sometimes that they had the setup that we have where, you know, we get to be around grandparents all the time. But the problem, I mean, it's not all fun and games. There's parts of it that are like, oh, that's so sad, actually. Like, often when the other grandkids come around, like, the kids will finally get to have candy, or they'll finally get to be treated like a grandkid. But, like, when they're just here all the time, I'm like, Mom, you can't give them candy. They will ask every day, 10 times a day. And that will be all that they eat. That will be all they eat. And they will be so grumpy. And the thing is, my mom and dad, you know how grandparents will be like, I'm going to feed them all this candy and send them home to their parents so I don't have to deal with them. Well, my parents don't get to do that
they
ever.
Don't get to.
If they
told them no.
And if they feed them full of candy, then they'll be watching them so they know not to do that.
Like,
that'll be really...
They have to live with the consequences of feeding all their grandkids.
No, we don't make them do anything, but it's just like, you know, they see what... They can't send them home, you know, they're in the same house, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of fun too. I think one of my favorite things is the kids have a really, really close relationship with your mom and dad, with their grandma and grandpa. And I think that's really special.
I never had that. I
didn't either. Like, I saw my grandparents once every couple of years growing up.
Wow.
I love my grandma and grandpa, you know, but it's like to be able to live with them, they have this really tight connection that I think is so special, because that wisdom that comes from, you know,
age, just knowing,
from being around for so long and learning so many things. Like, they get lessons from your mom and dad that we could never teach them.
Yeah, and that we don't teach them, and sometimes it's ones that we don't want them to have. No, just kidding. Most of the, like all the time,
like
it's good ones.
Letting them watch PG-13 movies when they go downstairs.
I'm like,
I would never let my kids watch that movie.
I'm like, oh, our kids can't watch that. And James is like, I've already seen it 3 times with Grandpa. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Grandpa can't spank Grandpa. Too bad, because I would.
It's so funny that like your dad's this bad influence on our kids, because like, when I met you, your whole family, they couldn't watch a movie without beeping out every single swear word. So it's like your family would like cringe at the littlest things in any movie. But now here it is, Grandpa's showing my little kids PG-13 movies.
It's different. He's always been like that. I remember James, when he was like this age, Grandpa, maybe a little bit older than this, but Grandpa was like, here's some ice cream, grandchild. And I'm like, get that out of my kid's face. What do you think you're doing? Stop. And he's like, I can do whatever I want. This is my first grandkid. You can't spank me. And I'm just like, get out of here. Stop it. You're going to get me in trouble because Michael won't say anything. And then he'll be like, can you believe he did that?
That's true. That's true. There's like a boundary, and I just don't want to cross that. You know, like, they're not my mom and dad. I can't get after them the way that you can. And I want to keep it that way. At least for as long as possible.
That's okay. That's all right. This is how we work, and it's working so far. Nobody's killed each other yet, so I guess we're okay.
But it's great because, you know, your dad loves to go fishing, and so James gets to go out on the 4-wheelers with your dad to the local pond, and they get to go fishing together and just have these memories. Like, that's so cool. Yeah. You know, and I think, like,
I don't want any of my siblings to hear this now. I'm like, oh no, it sounds so wonderful, and I mean, it is good, but there's some bad too. Like, it's not all sunshine and butterflies. Let's talk about all the drama.
Well, we just did.
Okay, all the drama. Let's sum it up into one word. One word. What could all the drama? Oh, pregnancy.
The drama didn't start till you were pregnant.
It's true.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep. It all started when I got pregnant. Because I actually warned the whole family. I said, guys, I sat everyone down. Like, every adult in the family. I was like, I have to tell you something. You know, I get pretty miserable and dramatic and not fun when I'm pregnant. And I'm warning you right now, don't mess with me. I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm serious. It's going to be bad. And they're like, oh no, it'll be fine. You're always so nice. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you guys have no idea. It's going to get real bad. It's going to get real bad. And they're like, okay. And then it got real bad. But it's mostly, I have no sense of humor. Like, my sense of humor goes out the window when I'm pregnant.
It's just like your dad. You know, he's got a bad back.
He's funny.
And when his back
grumpy.
When his back is in a lot of pain,
yeah,
he's not messing around.
Yeah.
He's not in a joking attitude.
Yeah.
So it's just, it has to do with pain, discomfort.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, man. I really am like a different person. I feel so much better not being pregnant. Anyways.
So when we first moved into the house, we were looking at putting in like an electric stair thing for your parents. Oh, yeah. Because we were like, okay, we want this to be comfortable.
I want them to be the most comfortable.
We thought we were going to be in that house for like 3 or 5 years was kind of the mindset going in. So we're like, we want to make it comfortable, and your dad's got a bad back, and your mom has bad hips.
Yep.
So we didn't want them walking up and down stairs all the time. So we're like, how can we make this as like comfortable for them as possible?
Yep.
The whole time we're living here. And they did have a basement entry, but it wasn't quite on the same level. It was
like, they had to walk through the yard, and it was like at a slant, and it was kind of uncomfortable and muddy, or like.
We moved there at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And so for months it was snowy and muddy, so they never really used the basement entry.
Yeah.
But during the summertime, I know they used it a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more, because it was.
So it was all one entrance. Everybody went in the same door.
Everybody came in the front door, and they just went down the stairs. And your parents had to use our laundry room.
Yep. So there's a lot more sharing in that house than there is in this house.
But we almost didn't film at all in the basement. Like, we might have filmed a handful of videos the entire time we lived there.
Because it was their space. It's their house, you know. That's how we look at it. Even though we're sharing a house, it's like, no, that's their house.
We wanted to respect their privacy, their own space.
I mean, they lived in their own house, separate of us, for 17 years.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, not separate of me. I was there for a little while.
For 18 years.
Yeah, well, not 18 years, but yeah, in their household, not that house. But anyways, so yeah, I don't know. We recognized that it was a hard transition for them too. And you know what? It really was. My mom struggled a lot just with the idea of, you know, they've always been very independent, very self-sufficient, like as much as they can be. And so the idea of joining forces, households, and, you know, sharing
really
that.
Becoming dependent. I mean, they're living with us because we bought the house.
Yeah.
So
that was really hard on them.
It was.
My mom, she just, I don't know. I can't even explain it other than every now and then I would see her have breakdowns where she just would cry and try to figure out who she was as a person after you know, everything changed.
Well, because at this point, Shinaway, now as an adult,
Jared, Shinaway's the youngest, youngest.
And Shinaway is the youngest. She's the baby, and she turned 18 soon after we moved into that house.
Yep. So it's not just moving into the house. It's like.
It's also becoming empty nester. Like, in a way, because now none of the kids are like minors dependent. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Everybody's grown up. Things are changing, you know. It's a different life, different world for them. Everything basically changed. Right. Everything. So finding new roots, especially after having roots in a house for 17 years, you know.
And to move from Mount Pleasant, she had to go through all of her things.
Oh, and that was really difficult.
And, like,
just
throw
emotional.
away a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and get rid of the things that were all of the different kids. 9 kids in a 3-bedroom house. Oh, and it was a pioneer house. There was cracks and crevices everywhere to have lots of stuff, and like all the kids kind of left their stuff there when they moved out. And so it wasn't just a matter of, oh, I've moved. It was a matter of, I've moved from this house that I've been in for 17 years that's become a huge part of my identity as a person.
Yep.
And I have 9 kids worth of junk left over that I need to sort, and it's all on her. and she has to make sure it gets back to the right owner, and she doesn't want anybody to get after her if she throws it away.
Right.
So she's very, very adamant of making sure it gets back to them.
I'm amazed at some of the stuff she's kept.
Sometimes she wants it more than they do, and then she's like, wow, I kept this for 17 years and you don't even care about it, you know?
Like old things that you made in the first grade.
Yeah.
Like art projects or report cards.
Way more than 17 years in a lot of cases, too.
Stuff that's like, wow, I can't believe she even kept, like,
I didn't even know I had a lot of stuff, because I was like, I'm going to get all my stuff out when I move out of the house, just so I'm not a burden to mom and dad. And when I did, I really thought I got it all, and then 10 years later, she comes with all these boxes full of papers from my elementary school years that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Kind of fun, though.
It is fun.
Kind of fun to look back and see all those school things that you'd done all those years ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she had that burden on her of caring for
which
all
I don't
of
think
her
is
kids'
fair,
stuff.
you know? And so it's been kind of a process ever since she moved into the rental. So she moved into the rental, and then we moved into the house, the last house we were in, and like ever since then, every move, every month, it's just been a matter of like filtering through all the stuff. There's a lot of stuff that builds up over years, emotionally too.
Yeah, an emotional
it's just
attachment
emotions with everything.
Things.
Yeah,
so to declutter, it's almost like
ripping a piece of yourself off and throwing it away.
It's not just a physical decluttering, like it's an emotional and mental decluttering too.
Totally.
Like removing an entire like a emotional baggage of burden that's been on you.
Like the memories that come with it. And she's always been a very nostalgic person, and so it's hard for her. So anyways, that's been a hard process. That's been one of the most surprising things for me, I think. I thought it would be easier in a lot of ways, and then it's not. Yeah. To get rid of this stuff or to help declutter. But it's not, we're talking like there's so much stuff. She's not a hoarder. You know, it's just a matter of being in a small house with so many people. Right. And then all of those people leaving all their stuff there. Not all of it, but
a lot of their stuff.
A lot of the stuff that they just didn't really care too much about, but it ended up on her shoulders.
Yeah. And there's been other challenges too, like not just decluttering and learning how to get along with each other, but with our life being on the internet, there's a lot of family who watch our videos that see one side of our life.
Don't see the other.
And they don't see the other. And so they think we're just partying every day, and they're just like not getting to be a part of that.
Spend 1 week with us and you will find out that it's not all fun and games.
Right.
I mean, it's gotten better because you hired an editor, but it's
a couple editors.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier than that now, but anyways.
So, yeah, we've had to delegate a lot of our job responsibilities just because it's hard to juggle everything by myself, but that's just with the growth of the business.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that challenge, that family challenge of other family members seeing what we're doing and living close to grandma and grandpa and feeling like, hey, like that's not fair, or, you know, you treat the kids differently. Like just working through that family drama has also been a really big challenge too. And I'm not bringing this up to try and call people out or make anybody feel bad.
No.
It's just that's our life and that's what we've been dealing with.
Yeah.
And we
I mean,
share
think about how many
reality.
siblings between me and you. There's 18 kids in both of our. I mean, not. It's like yours, mine, and ours.
I don't think our families, my side of the family, cares so much.
No, it's mostly mine because it's my parents.
Yeah.
You know, if it was your parents in your house,
and every member of your family has been really close to your mom and dad. All the adults, like once the kids in Rebecca's family become adults, they still call home to mom and dad regularly, at least weekly.
Which is weird to you, but it's not to me. Michael's like, what? I think I called her this year.
Yeah, like
once,
literally
on Mother's Day, maybe. Only because I reminded him.
No joke.
That's
if I talk to my family once every few months, like that's pretty good for me.
Yeah.
And so the idea that her siblings call mom just to talk or to download or vent or whatever, like that happens so often. They're really close to your parents, and so to see your parents through our videos interacting with our kids all the time, I think they're like, but I want that, you know, and that
and that is
just dealing with that's been really hard.
I mean, that's understandable. How would we feel? I think I would want my kids to be closer. I would make an extra effort to try and be there more.
Well, it makes sense.
You know?
You have awesome parents.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want your parents to be in their kids' life?
Yeah.
Like, they really are great.
You heard that here first, Mom and Dad. If you were watching.
It's true, though. I mean, I don't think I could do it if I didn't have such a good relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been married 10
Honestly,
years.
Michael sometimes most of the time deals with my family better than I do. And that is not an exaggeration.
I think
and
it was
my family
especially while you were pregnant.
Especially while I was pregnant. But it's not an exaggeration at all. Like, he will, most of the time, he's able to just handle it really gracefully and diplomatically, and I'm like yeah. Anyways, let's not give examples.
But anyway, that's been part of the challenge of living together, is getting the judgment from other family members too, and working past that. But I think
it's all about communicating. The thing is, we have such good communication with Mom and Dad that, like, I think sometimes we forget that we also need to communicate with the rest of the family and tell them what's kind of going on, and not always. Like, I don't want to feel like, oh, I have to report to the rest of the family, or else that will start to make me unhappy, you know.
It could literally become a full-time job, just communicating.
Yeah, there's so many
updating
people.
Every single member of your family. It's a good thing we got Marco Polo.
So yeah, that's been a big help with kind of just letting everybody know what's going on. And we recently got a Marco Polo for your family too.
Yeah, and
that's been really helpful too.
It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Like, hey, if there's a family party coming up, rather than having to make 10 calls to make sure everybody's been informed,
which is really more like 15 at least calls, because most people don't answer.
So we just posted on the Marco Polo. I don't know if you're familiar. It's an app on the phone.
It's just a video texting, basically.
It's basically video texting to a group, and so we just say, hey guys, and so the whole family can watch it if they care. If they don't care,
they don't have to watch it.
And
and sometimes I do that because it's just so many people posting so many things.
Sometimes people just have full-on conversations or goof off.
Oh yeah, it's fun though.
Sometimes it's really fun, and sometimes it's like, okay, I got to turn off my notifications.
Or sometimes it's just like, hey, just to let everybody know, hospital visit.
Right.
We're pregnant. No, they've never said that. I think they always say that in person. Anyways.
So anyway, that's been really fun, and so we lived together in that house for quite a while. But I think that's it for today's podcast. I just wanted to talk about moving in, living together, the whole experience, and what that entailed.
It's been good. It's been a learning curve. There are some times where I feel like jealous of people that don't have other people living in their house.
Definitely.
Honestly, I'm like, I like go to other people's houses and I'm like, where's the other family? Wait, you don't have one? What? That you don't have to communicate with lots of people before you do stuff?
You don't have to consult with 6 adults before you make any decision?
What? How lucky you are.
Because we had you and me. We had 8 adults. We had you and me, your mom and your dad, and then Ryan and Jared and Jessica and Shinaway. That's 8 adults all in the same house. And everybody wants to be informed with every single decision.
I just remembered something that's a huge, huge part of all of this.
What's that?
A big problem in the house that I realized, and I've only kind of realized it after living with the whole family for a long time. But what it is I put the needs of all of the adults above my own children.
Oh yeah. Because
I want to make sure they understand, because I don't want any adults being mad at me, like, or being offended or anything.
We're both people pleasers.
We are.
And it's too easy to put off our kids for the sake of
okay, we have to talk to the adults to make sure that they all understand. And it's like, but we don't often take that time to also sit down all the kids to make sure they all understand.
Because they need to be a part of the decisions too, and they need to be involved.
And so in a way, it's like the normal natural growth of our own children that would naturally happen if we were the only family in the house.
Right.
Hasn't happened at the same speed, because it took me so long to understand that I was putting the needs of all of the adults above my kids in order to not have anybody offended.
And then the kids, kids don't know how to communicate.
They get frustrated and they act out and they fight with each other.
When kids get frustrated, they don't say, Mom, I'm bothered by this thing that you keep doing. That's not how they are. they don't know how to communicate that just because their intelligence level, their conversation, like they're just not there yet. And so instead they whine or they cry or they fight. Like they do all these things. And I'm like, why are the kids being so bad? You know, like why are they being mean to each other?
Yeah.
And so we've had to learn like,
we are putting them off for all of the adults. Okay, guys, you know, and then I have to talk to the adults. Guys, I'm going to be a mom for a while, and I'm going to be the only mom. So stop being a parent to my kids, and I just need some time to be the only parent.
And also leave me alone. And that actually leads
also leave me alone. and leave them alone.
that actually leads in perfectly to what I want to talk about in our next podcast.
Yes.
Because that spring we decided we needed to make a change, and we needed to get away from the house and the rest of the family.
And it was so exciting.
So stay tuned. Next week's podcast, we're going to talk all about the big summer trip where we bought an RV, and it was just you and me and the kids.
Yep. And you can find this podcast anywhere where podcasts are. Also on YouTube, we're filming it. And if you are only listening, you'll want to watch because I'm literally holding the most adorable baby that's an angel right now. He's breathing on me, and it's really cute. He's breathing on the microphone. Maybe you can hear it. Maybe you could hear him cry. Maybe you could hear him eat. I don't know. But you can definitely see him right now, and he's cute.
So we do YouTube videos.
So watch the video.
But we also have the podcast. Either way is perfectly acceptable. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really love you guys and all of your support watching the videos, and leave us a comment.
It's so nice to talk about all of the stuff that we don't put on the videos here.
Have you guys experienced as adults living with other adults, like other family members, siblings,
How
or
hard was
parents?
it for you if you did?
And what lessons did you learn? Let us know.
Yeah.
And
hopefully you didn't only learn one lesson, and that was that you can't live with other people, because that would be sad.
No, it's been really good. It's good and bad, just like anything. So we love you guys. Thanks as always. Beach Theory out.